Hello everyone, my name is Alise of knowthyselfandheal.com. Today is October 2nd, 2022, and today Mercury stations direct. It's stationing direct at almost 25 degrees of Virgo, so you can look in your birth chart or natal chart and see where this is happening for you. And any time that a planet stations into a new direction, this time being direct, we always want to look at what are the other planets doing, because it is particularly poignant to look at. And this one is pretty special because if you don't know already, Venus in Libra is opposing Jupiter retrograde in Aries, and that's at almost 4 degrees. It's 3 degrees in some minutes. So you can look to see what houses are those planets in your chart. And an opposition always implies a Libra aspect. And what is Libra? It's how we relate to anything and everything in the outside world. So first and foremost, how we relate to ourselves, which is always going to color how we relate to anything and everything in the outside world. And so when we have a opposition, it always implies that something in the outside world is reflecting back to us our own consciousness in regards to these particular functions of consciousness being the planets, and this time being Venus and Jupiter. What is Jupiter? But it's the higher mind. It is the part of our consciousness that is related to the intuition and to recognizing that once we go out and experience things, we learn information, Mercury, right? And we explore different information. We come to finally distill that information into our own intuitive nature, where we just know things and we're not exactly sure how we know it, we just know it. And this is in direct relationship to how we personally define things, which is a mercurial energy. And remember that Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, which is a yang form of Mercury, where we go out and get information from lots of different opposing points of view, or what seem to be opposing points of view, where we have things that seem to be opposite each other. But Gemini's function is to recognize how they relate, right? And Gemini sits across from Sagittarius. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So this is how we distill information after going out and consuming a lot of information. Then we just kind of go into this process of imploding, where consciousness then implodes and we discern our own next steps and our own higher mind, and how the higher mind and the intuitive faculty, the right brain thinking, can actually know the most direct route towards what is our personal expansion of consciousness. And remember too that Mercury is also the ruler of Virgo, and this is the yin form of Mercury. So this is where we use discernment after we've gone out and learned through Mercury with Gemini. Now we take all that information and we discern, right? And Virgo opposes Pisces. And Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces and has a very special relationship with the modern day ruler of Pisces, which is Neptune. So this is where we now dissolve Neptune. Neptune dissolves things. So dissolves beliefs that no longer serve the quality of consciousness that we're growing, which is a Virgo Pisces element, where, you know, we think of Virgo as the priest or priestess that tends the garden of consciousness and the collective unconscious as well. Pisces is very much about the collective unconscious and the collective consciousness. And we know that collective consciousness contains all consciousness, right? So it's the ocean of consciousness that actually holds and encompasses all belief systems, all cultures, all different expressions of consciousness, and that it is inclusive. And yet for our own personal path, we are contributing a certain quality of consciousness. And this is where we discern which belief systems are going to be beneficial for me personally to tend the quality of consciousness I desire to tend to contribute to my own personal expansion of consciousness, as well as the expansion of consciousness of the collective psyche. So when we have Mercury going direct in Virgo with Venus opposing Jupiter from Libra and Aries, this is very much about really tapping into the higher mind and really recognizing our own relationship to ourself, our own values, and how our beliefs actually are meant to support our updated values, knowing that Uranus is in Taurus. Uranus is also related to the higher mind, also related to this one time, meaning that it's part of our nervous system and the brain that can understand that we can navigate what we see as past, present, and future all at once. So it's the part of our brain that understands the totality of time and our own present moment within it, and that we are in this creative self-actualization in every moment. Venus opposing Jupiter retrograde in Aries, again, this could have us really looking at allowing the higher mind to guide us and recognizing that how we're relating to ourselves and how we relate to others very much has to do with the way that we personally define things, that there is a place for all of us in the collective psyche, and that we may not resonate with everyone and everything or every belief system, but that it all has its place in supporting the collective. And that if we keep an open mind, that we may find that we are being supported in the outside world in ways that are new to us. And that if we can look at things from a more higher mind perspective, rather than the physical mind, the lower mind, the ego, and this is not to say that the ego isn't valuable, because it absolutely is. In order to experience consciousness in the physical, we have to have an ego. We have to have a point of reference. But at that point, recognizing that it is just a point of reference. And so when we allow the higher mind to kick in, we can actually be allowing what it is that we desire to come to us in new ways, in new forms. And so this is where, when we include all the beliefs that have served us in the past, or what we see as past, but also recognizing that we can allow ourselves to have new beliefs that support us in new ways, that expands our consciousness in new ways, that grows our consciousness in new ways, we can find that everything that we could ever want or desire is already in this moment. Past, present, and future is in this moment. And so everything that we are becoming, we already are, and that all the resources that we could desire to support us are already there. It's a matter of opening up to being able to see it, to actually having the consciousness by which we can be at the vibration that matches that which we desire. And so it's kind of like when we are, watching a TV screen and we're watching a show, we can change the channel to a new show, but the other show is still happening, right? And so it's really just about tuning to different vibrations of consciousness. And that really we're always just tuning to different vibrations of consciousness. And so our desires lead us to different vibrations, and knowing that we have the capacity to traverse different expressions of consciousness by matching that. This is what can happen with Venus opposing Jupiter, retrograde in Aries. We can allow ourselves to actually match different vibrations of consciousness, recognizing that we're always supported to do so. We're always supported, and whatever reflections we are getting in the outside world, or what we see as the outside world, is really reflecting back to us the vibration in which we're tuning into. And that no matter what the vibration, we can utilize it to propel us into that which we desire. So even the things that we would consider as negative or not what we desire are just reference points so that we can see what we prefer, what we like, what we don't like, so that then we can divine ourselves even more and become more of what we desire to self-actualize. So I hope this is helpful, and pay attention to whatever's coming up for you in this specific post-shadow phase of Mercury. So today, October 2nd, that Mercury goes direct. What's happening for you? What communications are you getting? What's happening in your daily life? Notice them as reflections, as key information for you to navigate your world in the way that you wish and you desire. And then Mercury will be in its post-shadow phase, which is an integrative phase, where we're integrating what we've experienced through this Mercury retrograde. And the post-shadow phase is actually going to be ending. Let me give you a date. I don't remember it off the top of my head. I know I've looked at it before, but I'm going to find that date for you. So Mercury will be going back into Libra, and on October 17th, it'll be done with its post-shadow phase. So between now, October 2nd, and October, was that 17th? October 17th. Curious what else is happening on that day. October 17th, it reaches 8 degrees of Libra. And Venus will then be at 22 degrees of Libra. Interesting that Mars will be at 24 degrees of Gemini. So Mars and Venus will be in a trine aspect, so both in air signs. So this is interesting. When Mercury comes out of that post-shadow, Mars and Venus in air signs is going to be trine. And that's lovely because this is really, again, kind of reinforcing this ideas, the thoughts, you know, the perceptions, the way that we're perceiving reality. And, you know, in those perceptions, just recognizing in this, in synthesizing all of this, we can look at that really we're only able to perceive what we are the vibration of. And so as Mars and Venus are in that trine when Mercury comes out of post-shadow, this is really important because remembering that we create with our vibration and that our perceptions can very much influence how we create in what we see as the outside world. So pay attention to your perceptions. And when we recognize that everything is really supporting us, we are of the divine. So of course we're going to be supported. Why wouldn't the divine support us? We are always supported. And so recognizing that everything that is happening in our lives is in support of our own expansion of consciousness. And so we can be asking, why am I perceiving this? And then how am I perceiving this? And how is this supporting me in my expansion of consciousness? And when we find those areas of support, we find that we open up to more and more and more support in our perception of being supported from what we see as the outside world. And also where we find ways that we can support ourselves even more. So I hope this is helpful. And if you got anything out of this video, please do share it, like it. I'd love to hear your comments, your insights, what's happening for you. I would love to hear if you feel inclined to share. And if you feel inclined to subscribe, I'd be happy to have you a subscriber to my channel. And I'll see you in the next video.